Yeah, so the sign-in sheet is in the chat. Make sure you guys fill that out. Thank you, Leanne. All right, so yeah, in the chat, go ahead and say hi and rate your knowledge of EdPuzzle from 1 to 5. One of those typical things I do all the time with my kids. So, any experts in the chat? All right, a lot of, it's kind of mixed at this point. Some 4s, nice.
Always
Hello,
leave room
everyone.
for improvement.
Always, yeah. Yeah, it's like when I ask my kids, they never say 5. I very rarely get a 5. They usually say 3 or even a 4.9. They'll always leave that room for improvement. All right, so thank you, Russell, for the pie. Very good. Thank you for that. Oops, sorry. All right. Sorry, splitting my screen was confusing me. All right, I'm back. All right, so in this hour, we will learn how to do a lot of different things. So it's just an hour. The other hour is going to be asynchronous and dependent. So that will be on your own time to construct your own lesson using EdPuzzle. So in this hour, I'm just going to go through the slides, but it's also informal. So feel free to unmute, ask questions in the chat. I'm doing my best to look at the chat. I'm splitting my screen. So feel free to ask any questions anytime. Or share, because it sounds like some of you guys are pretty good. You have some 4s in the chat. So I use pre-made ones. Some people are saying, yeah, I mean, I'm going to talk about that. Those are the best ones. I use a lot of pre-made ones as well. All right, so we're going to learn what is EdPuzzle and then how we can implement it in our virtual and in-person classes, especially looking into next year. I don't want this to just be for blended. I want it to be something that, it's a good investment that you would use for the rest of your career. So we're going to install and use the Chrome extension for YouTube videos. So again, like you don't have to make your own videos to do this. You can grab videos from YouTube. So I'll walk you through that if you don't have it already. And then I'll show you the nitty-gritty details of all that you can do on EdPuzzle as far as editing them, all the different things that make them interactive. And on the back end, how do you review the data on student learning? So it has a huge grade book full of data, and I'll show you some of the highlights. Yeah, sure. I don't know. Yes, okay. That's going to be put on the PD website. Cool. All right, so why EdPuzzle? Just making sure we understand why we're here, why are we interested? These are some of the things you might have thought to yourself. So my students are visual learners who love YouTube. Nowadays, it's actually TikTok. So their attention spans have now gone down to 30 seconds. So it's not good. We got to up it a little bit. But we probably have to chunk our lessons, and that's part of what EdPuzzle does is, the 30-second intervals, you can kind of pause them and ask them a question because that's all they know how to do at this point. But we love videos, but we don't know how to hold students accountable for watching them. So we post a video on Google Classroom. We really have no idea if they watched it, unless we make them write a whole essay about it. And then we don't want to read and grade all that. And since we don't know how to hold them accountable, we don't know if they understood the video that we assigned. And we all know that there are students who are falling behind. Maybe they're chronically absent. And then looking into next year, we know that there's going to be some gaps in the curriculum that we weren't able to cover. So there's that learning loss that's happening. So hopefully EdPuzzle can be a part of the process for addressing that. All right, so what is EdPuzzle? I'm a math teacher, so here's my equation. It's a YouTube plus accountability plus assessment. And together that equals EdPuzzle. So that to me is what it is. It's kind of like a modern day Scantron embedded inside of a video. So if you make it multiple choice, right? So you can choose any video from YouTube, and I'm going to focus on YouTube because I think it's just, especially for beginners, it's the best place to start. There's so much on there already, but there are some other platforms that you can take videos from. You can also upload your own. That'll focus on YouTube. You can embed your own assessment questions inside of it, so it makes it interactive and you can see if they understood. And through all of that, you can track your students' data and their progress. So it's pretty easy and powerful. It's a really good platform. I've really enjoyed using it. So for me in particular, I used EdPuzzle for Algebra 1, and then I always use it during summer school. And I will talk about how I also use that curriculum in my upper math classes for review. So that's really how I've used it. So your students will watch the video at their own pace. So to be clear, it's more of like an assignment, something that you're giving them. And you can see who's watching and who answered the questions. It has the whole reports side of it. So if you've used like Nearpod or anything like that, Khan Academy, you know, there's all that data on the other side for the teachers on the dashboard. You can prevent them from skipping ahead or opening other tabs. So it really forces them to focus, hopefully. And it's really used for assessment to gauge understanding based off of a video. And through that, you know, it's going to increase the number of students who hopefully watch the video and are engaged while watching it. Okay, so there's a lot of questions about the different plans about EdPuzzle because it is not free. It kind of is, kind of isn't, so it's kind of freemium, like free and premium. So there is a basic plan that is free with 20 video storage space. So if you were to make any videos past 20, you can earn more storage if you refer a friend, but other than that, you would have to delete a video to create a new one, right? Then there's the site plan with unlimited storage space, and Palmdale High does have a trial version of that for this year. So I have the link and I'll drop it in the chat. And so, but a lot of you are probably already on it in some way or shape or form. So there is a, if you want the link, let me know. Otherwise, I'll probably just do it at the end. Right, Ed? Hopefully, who knows? Yes. No, I don't know how I'll defer to Leanne. But with the site plan, the cool thing is that you can see everyone at Palmdale High. Actually, the code that I have, I used it, and it actually just has the whole district. So I'm able to see everyone at what the whole district is doing right now. So you can see like what I have uploaded and what other teachers have uploaded, and you can steal. Okay, because it's called collaborating. We're all on there together. That's nice, Ivan. Cool. All right. I never think about that. All right. So, and then there's the pro teacher plan. So if something happened and you just wanted to pay for it yourself, that's an option. It's $12 a month. But at this point, nobody's doing that. Everybody has a code. Let me know if you don't have a code or if you need to get in, and I can give you it's on the slides, actually, on the slide in the notes on there, so you can get that link. All right. Yeah, okay, nothing else in the chat that I missed. Okay. All right, so there's different ways to use EdPuzzle. You can use it in class, homework, review, enrichment. So in class, something that you might want to think about is it would be a really great way of having a rotation station. You can work with small groups where, you know, some of the kids are watching a video while you're working with the other kids. Maybe also, I imagine, maybe students that were absent, you can have like an EdPuzzle station where they're always watching the videos, catching up, something like that. There is a live mode now where you can project the video like on your Promethean, and the students answer the question on their devices. So it's kind of like an interactive version of Plickers, like if you've ever seen that, like, you know, somebody at a lecture hall and you're all watching the same thing, but then you kind of all give your input in live time. So that's kind of the EdPuzzle version of that. And just also independent individual work. And for languages, I know a lot of foreign language teachers use EdPuzzle because it really helps them with their listening comprehension when they're learning a new language. There's kind of a unique aspect for that. EdPuzzle was really created for the flipped classroom, though. I think that's really what the creators want it to be used for, is the flipped classroom. So, you know, your content lessons, your lectures are now homework. That's the kind of the idea, the philosophy behind EdPuzzle, but of course you can use it however you want. Or you can, I imagine, you know, just complement your lesson. You taught it once in class, maybe you pick a video that teaches it in a different way. So extra demonstration of math problems, that's often how I use it, that show maybe a different method than I show in class. or just kind of that the non-fun stuff to teach, kind of like the vocabulary or the grammar or something. Maybe you just put that onto EdPuzzle and make it interactive and assess the students that way. So you are freed up with more time in class to do activities. Something I will focus on is reviewing prerequisite skills and concepts, because you don't have a lot of time to do review, and this frees up your time by allowing you to, review, especially for math, all that old content that they forget all the time, like factoring and stuff. I could put some factoring videos on there. I know that they've seen it before, but they just need a refresher. EdPuzzle is really good for that. And then you can be as creative as you want. You can come up with, study guides you put on there. You want to go over the lab rules or something. Or if you have those kids that drive you crazy because they always finish early, you could put some really fun videos on there, maybe even funny videos for them to just always be on there, so they always have something that they can go do when they finish early. Especially maybe, the freshmen or something, or you just want to keep them busy and quiet. All right, but for 2021-22, I'm looking at EdPuzzle to definitely fill in the pandemic curricular gaps. I'm hoping to, look in my department, learn, what can I expect students to come in knowing and not knowing next year into my math classes, and where could I, start to build a curriculum on the side, kind of running parallel to my curriculum, but an EdPuzzle curriculum where they can watch some videos to fill in those gaps on their own. Also, it's just always good for the summer slides. So this is a good investment no matter what. This is what I always do. So when I taught geometry, I always assigned like this parallel curriculum on EdPuzzle. So I created a whole video series on EdPuzzle for all of Algebra 1, a bunch of videos for every unit. I did that when I taught Algebra 1 and when I teach it for summer school. And then I started teaching geometry, and I thought, well, why not just assign this to them? So they have to watch all these videos and review Algebra 1. Not all of them, but the ones especially that I felt like they should remember. And I also use EdPuzzle for summer school because it's so hard to cover all the content. I actually build a menu of all the videos I have on EdPuzzle, and I just let the students choose and check off which ones they want to watch until they watch enough to earn enough points in summer school. So yeah, thank you, Leanne, for the sign-in sheet. Good. Any questions anytime, feel free to ask, or any input of, do any of you guys use it in a different way that you want to share? Some of you were 4s in the chat. So, Ivan?
Well, I haven't tried the live mode yet. I think that because we are doing the kind of the blended, it might be nice to be able to have something where the students are in my class. But normally when I was doing just distance, what I got to a point of doing, if I wanted to introduce it in a lesson, was to do it like I would present a one that I would go and then synchronously kind of like ask the students to participate in the chat and kind of share out answers. But it was still self-paced enough that like if those kids that wanted to go ahead could just go crazy and go ahead on it. But then like now I'm just trying to build on the on our whole chat thing. But that's how I've been doing it like in the past. But I think I will try out that live mode with this blended model.
Yeah, I haven't tried out the live mode either. I feel like they created it during this time, but I don't remember doing it when I don't remember anything about that when I got my coach certification, which is very elite. I know. No, it was just a couple modules I did. But anyway, I don't remember anything about that. Ms. Asta, you raised a hand. Do you want to ask a question?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Has anybody actually used the live mode? Because I was thinking, if I did it with my kids on the Promethean board, then the kids that are listening online, are we going to have that garbled sound? Because every time I show something, if I try to show it myself, even if I turn off my volume and all that stuff, or mic, it's still kind of garbled. It's not very clear. So does anybody have any idea?
Let's all Venmo Ivan some money so he tries it out tomorrow. Tells us.
I haven't had a kid tell me that they got a garbled sound. So I'm not sure how you guys are establishing yours. The way that I'm doing mine right now is that I have the desktop like facing me, And so that's the one that like I'm primarily speaking, like the students can hear me from. The Promethean is just to be able to share the presentation. So it's logged into the Google Meet. And then that's presenting to the students. And then when I wanted to go to the audio, I thought like I can either share a link to something that they can actually do it. If worst case, I would tell for the kids that are working from home, like, well, you have the link, so you can do the self-paced version. So you don't have to join in the live if you can't really hear it, and then just go and do the self-paced version while we're doing the live mode. So I always try to like have my, just like Lindsay, like I try to have my backup, but for the kids that are going to be like, I couldn't do this at all. I'm like, well, you have a backup here. You can use that.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I haven't had any issues with the kids saying it's garbled. That might be a particular bandwidth issue or something on their end too, when videos are the hardest thing to share. But I think just giving them the option, the kids are smart enough to know how to mute the meet, so they don't worry about them. They can mute it and unmute it, and they can go listen to the video. And so long as like you set a timer, like you're saying, or you set a timer and you know how long the video is, they can still watch it on there and still participate. But yeah, the live mode, I'm interested too, because that seems like that might be a good idea for blended. And also just in the future when we're in the classroom, you might not want to just put the kids on Chromebooks. You might want to all be together. So I think I have a slide on that coming up with some links maybe. Any other questions or feedback or ideas? Pablo said, I gave out EdPuzzles for Saturday school. That's really good. I teach Saturday school. I should do that. I need to come up with a Saturday school math curriculum that I could just throw any kid on. That would be good. That's really good. Yeah, because I do all the math Saturday schools. Good idea, especially in person. If nothing else, go do this. Grab a Chromebook, learn something. Good idea. Oops, all right, sorry. All right, so for Google Classroom, that's the good thing is that EdPuzzle is one of these products that links and syncs with Google. So you have that login with Google button, and so do the kids, and you can import your Google Classrooms into it, and you assign to Google Classroom and all of those kind of functionalities that we like. You can post assignments directly. You don't have to, but you can. You can link and embed them into Google Classroom. You can make due dates and all that. If you have any co-teachers or anybody that you want on there, you can add them. And it does, I've never done this, but it does sync your grades automatically now. So if you're one of those, if you really grade in Google Classroom and there are grades in EdPuzzle and you've posted it as an assignment to Google Classroom, it should sync. So then you could use things like the grade transfer tool, that extension. If you don't know what that is, I can show you. But that extension that grabs the grades from Google Classroom, it should be able to just grab them and put them in PowerSchool then. So I love that grade transfer too. It's really awesome. So yeah, so Ivan, the syncing works well. No issues with the on your no.
I mean, the only thing is what's it called, like, is that like if your point system is different because they go out
Right.
100%. So like if you're doing points in yours, it's just a conversion. So as long as you give your assignment like something that you can easily, if you're not a math person, you can give yourself like the easy convert that you can see like, well, this kid got 76%, then I can go and give them this.
Right. So you want me to show you the extension, Penny? Sure. Oh, sorry. Let me see. So it's great. I'll just drop it in the chat. Grade transfer changes. If you're really a heavy user of grading in Google Classroom, then this is a really helpful tool. I occasionally grade in Google Classroom. I often, for my math classes, I'm grading from the platforms that I use for them, but there's a link to that extension. So apparently, yeah, it works. But also grade transfer now you can, you can do a conversion on there, right? So you can do the scaling. So I often grade things like out of 20 points. So I have it set, so I scale it from 100 points to 20 and it does it automatically. So that was pretty good. All right, back to EdPuzzle. All right, so that's some of that. So yeah, so here's some of the information I have on EdPuzzle. So like the flipped classroom, the traditionalist model of how it was first envisioned was, individually on Chromebooks, devices, independently at their own pace, what we now call asynchronous, or in the classroom but with rotation stations. But now they say you can project the video in front of the class and they answer on their devices in real time, and you get that live feedback in the classroom. So that's what I would like to learn more about that and see how that works as well. All right, I think, let me know if there's any questions. Oh, you make a new Saturday School Google Classroom for EdPuzzles with DF students. Very nice. That's cool, Pablo. I'm going to steal that idea. I want to put that together for next year for math. Yeah, go ahead, Russell. You raised a hand.
Yeah, I use it all the time. Students take it over and over. I'll let them redo an EdPuzzle over and over as many times as they want, and they get a lot more out of it after the third time they've watched it or whatever. And then I output from Google Classroom, or I export a CSV, and then which is an Excel file. I then can scale it very easily. It comes in at, from 0 to 100, but I rate everything up to 10 points, and it's just a simple scale just to convert it. And then you can import it into a template right straight into PowerSchool. I don't even bother going through Google Classroom. I go straight to PowerSchool, and it works very easily. And I can go through all of my classes and hundreds of EdPuzzles in a few hours.
Wow, what a machine. Thank you, Mr. Dollinger. That's awesome. These people that do those CSV files, they're always so passionate about their CSV files. And I'm always like, I'm not there yet. I'm not there. I'm not on your level. Yes, Mr. Tassinari. You have a question, Mr. Tassinari?
Yes. No, well, when let's say there's 7 questions on the video I'm showing, I set it to 7 points in Google Classroom. And then transfer. Nice. You don't have to do any. That's all you do, because when you send it to Google Classroom, it becomes 100. Just change the point value to how many questions you want to, and then it just transfers right over through grade transfer. And Lindsay, I did not know about that. What you just showed me, the
scaling.
Yes, I did not know that. It can't do.
Yes.
That's
big brain.
This whole workshop's now been worth it. Thank you.
I know it's always the side thing, the thing that's not what we're really here for. That's what I always get out of PDs too.
That's fantastic. So
cool.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you. Yeah, that's smart, just to change the point values. Me and Ivan weren't thinking about that. We just felt like we had to do all that math with 100 points. That's funny. Yeah, just change the point value. All right, so what I really want you to do is, I don't want you to think of EdPuzzle, and if you're really new to it, and think, I have to make videos. That's not true. Okay, I want you to save time. It really should be a quick and easy process. It shouldn't be like, you're not a YouTuber now. Okay, let's be clear. You're not a streamer. Okay. All right. So, so you can use a ready-made lesson from another teacher. I linked some info on that. So if you do join with the link I can give, or any link that you're already on, you should be able to see teachers at Palmdale High, or maybe even the whole district. Like you can see mine. If you teach math, you might want to use them, or computer science. I have a computer science videos on there too. Or you can just grab anything from YouTube and make it yours. Last but not least, you can upload any video that you have on your computer. So if you have any like MP3 files, any kind of video file that you want, you can also upload it straight to EdPuzzle. Or you could also upload that to YouTube and then grab it from YouTube. So that's another way of doing it. I have heard that uploading it to YouTube improves the quality. I don't know, but you might want to think about that. Go ahead, Mr. Tassinari.
Also, podcasts work very well too.
Nice.
You can upload a podcast and have the kids listen to it, and they can answer. There's no video, and you got to let them know this is a podcast. There's no video. First time that they get over it, and then they're fine. But yeah, you can upload podcasts, and that's a great way. I'll also have them learn.
I love podcasts, so that's fun. It's really popular right now to listen to podcasts. So I think that's really on point. That's cool. If you're interested in learning more about how to actually record, maybe you actually just want to like record you talking at the beginning of the year over your syllabus or something. And maybe you just want to always have that ready with all of your rules and expectations, have that on there. Make sure that they actually listened, like the old syllabus quiz. Like now you can make it on EdPuzzle. If you want to record something, then probably using Screencastify. There's some videos on Screencastify, like Michael Gonzalez has done one. If you want any information on that, just let me know and I can send you the links. All right, But yeah, so let's get on to the Chrome extension for YouTube. So it's going to add a button onto YouTube every time you grab a video. So sounds like probably a lot of you know about it, but I will go through it now in case you don't. What am I doing? I'm going to say Chrome extension, puzzle, Chrome extension there. It's also linked on the slide. I just don't want to get out of present mode. That should send it to you. I already have it, so it says remove for me, but it will say add for you. And you can read the information on it. But what it's going to do is anytime I go to YouTube now, which obviously my YouTube just has a lot of music because I play music a lot in my classes. I'm probably not going to want to grab a music video. I'm probably going to want to grab like a factoring, difference of squares, a factoring video. You can never have too much factoring practice. So let's say I like this one. Notice on my screen, it has a edit with EdPuzzle button right under the video. So that's what that Chrome extension is going to give you. So once you add it and install it, it's going to be there every time you open EdPuzzle. So a lot of extensions you have to click up here, you know, to access. You know, for instance, I have my drawing tool. But I don't have to click it up there. What it does is just adds this button. And that to me was when I wished for sure, I was like, okay, I'm going to start thinking more about this EdPuzzle thing because this is so cool that I can just be browsing on YouTube and now I can just grab that video and now it's mine. And I thought that was cool. What extension is that drawing tool? It's always the other things, right? It's always the other things. It's a page marker extension. Game changer extension for sure. There you go. So give you a second and how about you guys let me know if you have it or if you just added the extension for EdPuzzle. Go ahead and you can give me a, I don't know, how do we all do this in the chat? We all do different things. You can give me a thumbs up in the chat if you have it, or you can say I got it. Whatever you want to do. Got it now. Got it. Have it. It's awesome. Or if there's any questions, just wanted to give you some time to make sure you have it. And then I was doing this, you know, more recently this year, and there was, so if you've used EdPuzzle in the past, but not recently, you might not have been aware, but this to me is a huge other game changer. So I'm looking at the chat, sounds like a lot of you have it. Sounds good, I don't see any questions. So my next thing is, obviously I can start editing it. There's all these things, there's cut, ed, voiceover questions. I'll get to that later, but I'm going to, I don't know if it's going to work with this one. It did, okay. So what did I do? Let me go back. I just clicked finish, okay. And I thought maybe it wouldn't work on this one because I don't know how famous this video is, but apparently it is, because if I just click finish, now I'm done. It's in my folder. It says Lindsay Justice now here. I scroll down and there are 27 other video versions of this lesson. Created by names I don't recognize. I don't think these are in our district. But these people have already done all the work. So I can grab any of these that I want and I can see how many questions are there. So this video has 8 questions. This video has 1 audio. Probably don't want to pick that one because it's going to be a random teacher talking, but I could. And I can grab any of those. Is that new to anybody? Like Ivan, were you aware of this? Ooh.
I mean, I think that what's it called, the best philosophy that I was ever taught, like going through the program, was like steal as much as you can. I thought, like, why make it like harder for yourself? And so yeah, this was I didn't like, just like yourself, I didn't realize that until I actually like tried to just create my own questions on a random like from the extension. But most of the time I'll start in EdPuzzle, look for a video, and if I find something that has like the context is what I want, I'll look to see what are their questions and then maybe I have to go and like make 1 or 2 changes to that, and then kind of fit it to like to what I'm trying to teach.
Right,
But,
exactly. I know the philosophy of okay. I know the philosophy of EdPuzzle is try to personalize it because, you know, so they really want you to add like those voiceovers and everything. So, you know, because otherwise the kids, you know, kids learn best from their own teachers. So you want to put your own personal spin on it as much as possible. But that being said, you know, if you're doing this all the time and you're new to it, I would grab one of these. It does have to be a video, like obviously popular enough for other people to have used it. So if you're picking some really random video out there, maybe nobody has done it yet, but this person's already done 3 questions. I grabbed who did this Patricia lady, and then I can click on her questions, and honestly these kind of look a little long, but okay. And if I like them, then I would just say finish. Okay. And I can you know, check and see if I like it, and if I like it, then I'm just going to, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to click edit on hers. And then now I have a Patricia's. Patricia's is now mine. And I could just click finish. And now I will have her finished version with those 3 questions. So I will have to grab hers, edit it, so it becomes mine, and then finish. Sometimes the answers are wrong, according to Pablo. Yes, you should still be a good teacher and proofread, right? You know, we have no idea about Patricia. Is she trustworthy? I don't know. These are all it's opened up now. I remember I could just see people from Pete Knight when I was at Pete Knight. First of all, I could only see Pete Knight teachers, and now it opens it up to all these other teachers. So anyway, do you put this into your Google slide? I was trying to find these. I was having issues every time. I found it hard to, I can add more on the explanations for doing this. I plan just to demonstrate it, but I can add some, I could actually, well, I'll have this recording now, Angela, so you can watch the recording if you want to see this again. I was having issues every time it's grabbing from the YouTube, Angela.
I was trying to put it into my my Google Slides. So
okay.
Into my Google Slides, because obviously when we're virtual, our slides are our lesson. They're the page after page of whatever we're doing. So I was trying to insert EdPuzzle into the Google Slides, and every time I did, it was a cluster schmuck. I couldn't get it to work.
Well, what you can do is, I mean, that's going to be on the assigning side. So once you have assigned it to your class, you'd probably assign it, you know, to your class on Google Classroom. So if I click assign, I have my periods right here. What I can do is I would just assign it. And then when I assign it, there will be a link. I don't really want to assign it right now, but you can, I can get the link, and I think I would just put the link on your Google slide. It's not going to put the interactive video on a slide. It's just all you can do is direct them to EdPuzzle.
I think that's what the issue was. I was trying to embed it like a video because it does have that feature, but every time I embedded it as a video, it was a cluster schmuck. And I finally got to a point where I was like, yeah, I'm not using this. So
yeah, all the interactive portions, like with the lesson, that has to be on EdPuzzle. You can't.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, you could just put the video on a slide, but not the interactive parts. And you cannot edit it after assigning it. I've learned that the hard way many a time, Mr. Dollinger, that's for sure, because I make a mistake and then I've assigned it already to all 6 of my periods, and I'm like, well, y'all just have to deal. And I fix it for next year. Yeah. Do you have any other hints about that?
Lindsay, one of the other issues with that is that, especially when you first get it, you choose one, then click on edit. Then, like you said, it'll become yours. But more importantly, then you can check to see if you agree with the answers, or if there's spelling mistakes or grammar errors or other stupid stuff. Because you can't change it once you've assigned it without unassigning it to all of your classes. As you said, it's a pain.
Yep. Yes, and then you have to reassign and apologize, and mea culpa, okay, did I miss anything else in the chat? That sounds like the same thing, right? Okay, yes. Good points about the changing. So for everyone who's new to this, make sure you really check those answers because we've all been there who have used it. So just when you're looking for some YouTube videos, some best practices I think are to not go too crazy just finding some random videos. I would really stick to trying to find some good YouTube channels. So that's the actual creator. Try to find 3, maybe maximum 5 channels that you like and try to stick with them as much as possible. I found that that really creates like a good classroom culture in my room. When I did this, I picked a lot of videos from this bald guy. He's a really good math teacher on YouTube, but it kind of became funny because the kids would always be like, oh, it's a bald guy again. And it was just like, oh, that's nice because they know who he is. They know what he's about. They know how he teaches. And so it was almost like I had a co-teacher in the room because they would always go learn from him. So that's Brian McLogan. If you are a math teacher, he's so awesome, especially for like trade classes. And Patrick GMT, they know how he works. eHow, they know how that looks. Then like for geometry, it's totally different. I use CK12, Don't Memorize, and Math Antics, and kind of funner channels a little bit for younger kids. And just really try to look and curate. And if you like a video, then look at what that person does and see if you can find other videos from that person. And that's something I found that works well for me. Talk to your department, see if other people have videos or creators that they like. Funner. Yes, I didn't say fun. I said funner. Okay, it's a big difference. Okay, okay, any questions so far? All right, I don't see any. All right, so getting, let me look at the time. How are we doing? Okay, a little over halfway. So there are, what makes it interactive? We have to get into what makes EdPuzzle interesting. This is where the magic happens. So one of them, and these symbols on the left is the symbol that EdPuzzle uses. So kind of the Q&A symbols are the questions and notes. So within a video, if you grab a video from YouTube, you can add multiple choice questions at any point in the video. It's going to stop them and force them to answer. That's where you can set the answers to be what you want them to be and make sure you're making the correct selection. Otherwise, like we said, you can't change them later once you've assigned it. You can change them for next year, but open response. So if you do want to have some really thought-provoking essay questions in there, you will have to manually grade them. So you English teachers who do these things, I can't understand. Angela, that'll be you. You'll be putting so many in there. Just one. Okay. I actually do with my computer science. I've been trying to do more open-ended, you know, have them think deep, right? Or notes. So if you just want to say, hey, yell at your kids in the notes, write this down. You know, you can pop up on the screen and tell them that, just like you try to in the classroom. They still might not listen, but you can embed links also, which would be like pause here, go to this website, read this website, then answer this question. So it can become really hypertext, like a hyperdoc. You can send them on their own little adventure with links. Images as well. So if you want to have like a flow chart in there or a math picture or a graph to supplement. Math text is in there, which is really nice. And just, you know, the rich text, bold, italicized, all that kind of stuff. Only one word. That's nice. All right. Other things. EdPuzzle really believes in, you know, they need to hear your voice. I'm not so good with that. I feel like they hear my voice enough, but I think studies show that students pay more attention to information if they hear it from a familiar voice. I think that goes to picking a channel and sticking with it all year and really like building an appreciation for that creator on YouTube. You know, to the point that my kids would like, you know, comment on his videos and like tweet him, you know, because they felt like they knew him. That might have been too much, but so there's that. So you can do voiceover. That will mute the video and they will just hear your voice. So there, and theoretically, if you had like a really cool visual video, but you didn't really like the audio, you can take the whole video and you can just narrate it now. Okay, so that would be something you can think about. Now, this is a great one because often the videos are too long, or there's maybe ads, well, not ads, but like embedded sponsorships or something in the video. You can now crop all of that out. You can slice anywhere in the video, not just the beginning and end, which it was originally, but now you can take out the middle, which is cool. So you can shorten it. So you can delete the beginning or end or anything in between, which is huge. And the last one is pausing. So definitely, I'm sorry, skipping. Definitely check this one before assigning a video, I would think. Otherwise, the students will just skip to your questions. So it depends on how much you want them to watch. I guess that's, it depends on the program's video's purpose. Is it a review or is it new? Do you really need them to focus, or is it there just as a refresher? And videos, though, will always pause if students switch tabs. That's just automatic for EdPuzzle. So it's not the same thing as skipping. Skipping, you have a choice on. Right, Ivan, thank you. And closed captions, I do that as well. So it will let you, before you assign it, you can say, or no, before you finish creating it, it will ask you if you want closed captions, and very good for your English learners. All right, I know that was a little bit fast going through the different editing, but I was hoping to maybe get to demo it with you. Students always need to answer embedded questions for the video to be marked complete. It will not be complete unless they answer all the questions. All right, so those are the different editing. So they were, skipping, cropping, voiceovers, and questions. Any questions so far, or comments or feedback on any of those tools or how you use them? Fine if you don't, just making sure. Well, we are nearing the end, so I will just go ahead and go through the grade book and then just do some Q&A at the end, maybe demonstrate how to do it if anybody wants to see me demo how to grab one and edit one. But as for the grade book, the data that you get like the progress calculation. Now, if you want like a hard and fast grade, it will give you the percentage if you only use multiple choice. But if you had even one open response mixed in, then it's just going to have a ... next to it until you manually grade the open response. And then that will combine your grade with the multiple choice to give them the grade for the video. And yeah, you can let students redo them and all that kind of stuff. So you have that, like, I think, was it Russell, you said you just let them redo it until they get the score that they want?
Right. They just have to let me know. The only problem with that is that you have to reset each one individually. So if you have a student that wants to reset 5, then you have to literally go in and reset them one at a time versus clicking on one student and saying, all right, let's redo this one, this one, this one, and that one. That'd be such a marvelous thing if they did that.
Exactly. I feel like some of the functionalities in EdPuzzle could be more user-friendly. It's such a powerful site, but then things like that, just like there's no drag and drop. So there's things like that I feel like are a little not user-friendly. I agree. Total score, total time spent, turned in late, does mark the late ones, which is good. You can look at individual student reports. You can, look at a range of dates, say all the assignments in this month or this year or this week. And you can download your progress as a CSV file for those people that like to do that. So there's, for students, well, actually, for looking at student progress, you can look at it just in multiple ways. You can look at it across multiple videos. You can look at just, if you're interested in just this one video and you want to look at the whole class. So you can look at like one student at a time, looking at how many videos they have done. You can look at the whole class, pretty much everything you would want. You can look at, again, just that one progress on one video, and it allows you to go question by question and see how many people got this question right on this video. So you can dig really deep with the data. Here's what it will look like. So if I'm looking at an individual student named Joe, and I can see how much time or how many times he rewatched each portion of the video. So if he rewatched a portion of the video more than 4 times, it would be in red. And so that's kind of interesting when I see that. I'm like, wow, they were really struggling with that part because they rewatched it like 5 times. Here would be like an open response that I would have to manually enter in an 85 out of 100 for if I graded that. And then that would calculate the grade right up here. They would mix that in if there were multiple choices with the grade that you entered. And you can leave a comment as well. Okay. Or you can look at, here's one video called the Milky Way, and you can look at, okay, for this video, I just assigned it, how did all my students do? They'll put the students that didn't do it at the top, and then all the students that did it down at the bottom, and they will grade, sort it by accuracy as well if you want, and when they did it, if it was turned in on time or late. And here's the button that, I'll circle it with my page marking tool. Here's the button that Russell was talking about to reset. So if you want to let the students redo it, you would have them ask you maybe in office hours or something, could you reset it? And you just have to click that button and they could try again. All right, so that's how it would look for one video. And then this is how it would look for your whole class across multiple videos. You would change, the window that you're looking at, like the last 30 days. In theory, you could have a bunch of videos here, depends on how many times you're assigning it. And you would see all of their scores fill up all of these columns over that time. And this column would be their total score, that would be their average and their total time spent over whatever you select up here. This is last 30 days, you can do the week. I've done it like with I think I did a time where I was just trying to get them to review some for SAT. And so I said, I just grade you this month on minutes. Just go on there and watch a bunch of videos. So you can also just grade on minutes for a month or something like that. Okay, wrapping up, those are the different things on EdPuzzle with the gradebook. Where to go from here? Well, hopefully you've already gotten the Chrome extension and added it to your browser. And you've gone to YouTube and you see that button now. Then after that, hopefully most of you have gone on to EdPuzzle and can import your Google Classroom sections into EdPuzzle. So now, then you can see all of your periods there. If you can't do either of these things, I will certainly help you with that starting now. But if you are already good with that, you might want to learn a little bit more if you're still not sure if you want to use this or not. Or if you just want, the clout and you want to get, the badge that I got, it's elite, it's awesome. I wear it all the time. There's a lot of different modules online that will really go in depth of teaching you how to do all these things that I ran over in 1 hour. They will go over in multiple hours and dig deeper into the philosophy of how to transform your classroom using EdPuzzle if you're really serious about it. So that's edpuzzle.com/onlinepd. All right, so that's pretty much it, though. I ran through my slides. I'm here now. I can demo things in the last 10 minutes, but I think you guys are probably good. So any questions, let me know in the chat. Make sure you filled out the sign-in sheet from that Leanne put in there. Thank you, guys. Thank you in the chat.
Thank you, Lindsay. So before follow-up questions have been asked, if you want to do, Ed, I can't look at what he puts in the chat or I'm going to crack up laughing. If you would like to do the second hour, and the second hour involves implementing it with your classes, Lindsay, since you're already sharing, can you go to, oh, you already did it. See, that's why you're awesome. There's two things, normally follow-ups with our PDs. The first one is the lesson plan. Can you click on that, Lindsay? Thank you. So just put the skill and what video resource did you use? Did you put one that you created or did you pull one from YouTube? Which Wicker strategies, and just a brief description of what the video taught. And then the reports that Lindsay was going through, what you can see in your grade book, you can just post a picture or a snip of it right below just as your evidence. After that, then you'll just do the reflection. And can you pull up the reflection, Lindsay? Thank you. Just how did you feel as putting EdPuzzle as part of your lesson plan, and will you use it again? Why or why not? So thank you, Angela. It's in 2 weeks. So 2 weeks from today, which is the 29th. I believe, by midnight.
Mm-hmm.
To turn in that, and that's for the second hour. So you get compensated for the 1 hour here, and then if you're working for the second hour and really, you know, getting compensated to try it with your students, that's what those are for. So thank you. So now any follow-up questions, please go ahead and ask Lindsay now while she's right here.
Thank you, Leanne. Yeah, I almost forgot. So good. Yeah, so if there's anybody that wants me to show anything specific, just let me know. But happy to have you guys here. Thanks for coming. It's a good group. Thank you for sharing all of your ideas. Yeah, thank you guys. So I'll stop the recording.